One other thing I want to give our take on, Gavin, is Kyle Kulinski.
Kulinski.
Kyle and Corin do their show over on Corin's World. Check it out if you haven't. Corin's a great guy, and obviously you guys already know Kyle. But they reacted to a super chat that I found pretty interesting because, you know, Hutch is a guy that we've had a lot of beef with. But Kyle has been a little bit more like gentle with that side of the political aisle. You know, he hasn't just called them like dumb as rocks. Like we have like brain dead fucking idiots, like just the most like unintelligent, uninspiring, just lacking of insight, pedophile defenders.
Zero riz fucking losers. Yeah.
100%. Anyway, Kyle was being nice. He was like, I don't ever punch, you know, I just only punch the right wingers. I'm too big of a channel. I'm like, I understand, bro. I understand. You got to use your weight specifically to go after the right wing. But on Kyle and Corin, he let it fly a little bit when he got a super chat asked about Hutch. And I was happy to see Kyle respond this way.
Yeah. Super glad to see this. Shout out to Kyle Kulinski, who, as we recently, talked about, just hit 2 million subscribers. Crazy. He's continued to rise in popularity, relevance, all while, never wavering in his, consistency and principles, which I really appreciate about him. He never grifts or panders or anything like that. So, love Kyle. And I'm glad to see this because Hutch is so fucking annoying. I mean, I was just watching one of the Live and Learn episodes, which our friend Josiah is a part of, or he was a part of.
He quit, bro.
He just quit. But Hutch is a panelist on that show, which we have been on. And Hutch was like defending like Joe Manchin and like talking about how like the left pressured Joe Manchin out of politics because they were so mean to him, and he was like making all these excuses for the mainstream of the Democratic Party and talking about how there's actually no proof that there's a lot more energy with the progressives right now. He's just gaslighting people, and like it was crazy. So yeah, I'm not a fan of Hutch, as you guys know. Glad to see Kyle speaking the truth.
For those who chat.
Yo, Kyle, Hutch be criticizing your criticism, Democrats, but they're good faith and interesting. So I'd love to see another KKF debate with him soon. So here's my issue with Hutch that he really let me down in a way where like I'm not interested in that. He did some video a while ago, and in the title, I forget exactly what the title was, but there was a picture of me in the thumbnail with some other people as well. I forget who else was in it, but it was like me, maybe Crystal, maybe some other people. And basically, either in the thumbnail or the title, the implication was I was arguing like Democrats and Republicans are the same. Or like Democrats and Republicans are, equally bad or something. And when I saw that, I was just like, okay, that's literally just a lie. In fact, one of my patented rants that I've been doing on my show on a regular basis is literally the opposite of that point, where I say, I don't want to hear any bullshit false equivalence anymore in this era. There is no false equivalence. Literally the worst Democrat you can find is better than the best Republican you can find. Like, so anybody who does the false equivalence horse shit, they're just wrong, and it's just embarrassingly stupid in this moment.
I totally agree with Kyle on that.
100%.
So the fact that he basically put in like a title or a thumbnail that like I was somehow doing the thing that I explicitly do the opposite of all the fucking time, seemingly every show these days, when I saw that, I was like, I'm done with him.
Yeah.
Like, I'm done with him. So I think I unfollowed him on Twitter. I unsubscribed from his channel. Because it was like, listen, I'm a reasonable dude, but if I feel like a criticism is just flat dishonest, then I'm like, I'm not going to waste my time with this. Like, I'm done. I'm out of this. And the other thing is, I really feel like he falls into the same trap as Destiny, where he consistently punches left, and it's like, why are you?
Is he on the left?
He's center left.
Oh, okay.
So, but in this moment, it's like, no, seriously, you don't get it. Like,
and this is something that Kyle lives and walks every single episode. Like we talk about it all the time. Like sometimes I would like to see, I know Kyle has like deeply held beliefs that he could just rain fucking fire down on some of our enemies. Right. And I'm like, bro, if Kyle takes you to the mats, you're fucking done, bro. But he doesn't want to do that because he doesn't want to be that guy that's like breaking up the left at all. He doesn't want to be the guy that's like, oh, this dude had a bad take. Like, let me bring my fucking hammer down on them and be like nuking this guy. He's going to take on the big fucking criminals, the Joe Rogans of the world, the fucking bad guys, the people who want Donald Trump to stay in office and are going to consistently try and keep the fascists in power, that they're going to run cover for the people who are destroying our country and attempting to turn it into a totalitarian regime, right? He is like, guys, I have 2 million subscribers. I'm going to use them all to fight Donald Trump. And I admire that and I respect that, even though sometimes it would make our life easier if he was like, I'm going to fucking just kick the shit out of like X, Y, or Z channel that we also have beef with, right? But he 100% walks that walk. He is never the guy that you could accuse of just the Democrats are just as bad as the Republicans. Like, there are a lot of people on the left that I think fall into that trap. Kyle is so far from one of them that it is hysterical to watch Hutch literally die on that hill.
And it's funny too, because Kyle's actually been critical of his past self for at some points espousing talking points that are similar to that. What Hutch attempted to paint his talking point as being in the modern era, because there was a point where Kyle said, he wasn't going to vote for Joe Biden. He didn't vote for Joe Biden. I think he sat that election out. Like, he thought the Green Party was unserious. But like, if that commentary from Hutch had come circa 2020, at least it could have been like, an actual conversation to be had.
Sure.
But you're right. Kyle is very much so moved beyond that mentality in this era, 5 years later, as have a lot of us, to be quite honest.
Dude,
I feel like, our show has also gone through a somewhat similar evolution as we kind of realize that, like, there's one thing to that edgy kind of energy where it's like, fuck the Democrats, they're just as bad. But, once you're in the thick of a fucking fascist takeover, you start to mature a little bit, and Kyle has. So to not give him that due, come on, give him credit. Hutch, he's literally come to the position that you wanted him to. And again, it's one that I agree with.
Yeah, 100%. Listen, I think that there was a safe and effective way to challenge the Democrats while they were in power, and also to, really voice critique of the way that they handled the primary process in 2016 and 2020, which I think a lot of us were doing. But as Kyle mentioned in this exact clip we're watching, it's like right now in 2025, the rubber has met the road, and it's like you're either on one team or you're on the fucking other.
Yep.
And make up your mind. Are you team Trump, which is team sitting out the fucking, calling out Donald Trump, pretending like he's just as bad as Democrats would be? Or are you on the side of sane people who love their country and want to see Donald Trump defeated?
Yeah, exactly. But this is good stuff. Kyle is, you're right. He's usually not that messy. He doesn't usually like to directly kind of get in the gutter like that, or start any beef, or respond to anyone like Hutch calling him out. So that's pretty funny.
Yeah, shout out to whoever emailed us about this. And I think there's a little bit more.
Yeah, no, I'm not saying it's over. I'm excited to see what he says next, but I'm just glad that he's, willing to be honest about Hutch, because obviously if you guys watch the show, you know how annoyed we've been with Hutch since basically he started talking about politics. Dude used to be like a Call of Duty live streamer, and then he decided to become like the biggest Joe Biden simp and all this stuff. It was cringe.
Yeah, we bullied him into taking out his lip ring, though, so you're welcome if you listen to that guy.
Straight up.
Fascism is fucking here.
Yeah.
We're watching Trump bomb random fishing boats off the coast of Venezuela, round people up and put them in concentration camps, crypto scam his own fucking supporters. Like, it's here. It's here. The fucking ICE agents are assaulting elderly couples. What are we doing?
Yeah,
Fighting each other. Like, what are we fucking doing? And like, for me to sit down with him and have a navel-gazing conversation about, we're inter-left fighting, and I think you're right about this and wrong about this. It's like, what's the fucking point?
Yeah.
If you go look at my channel, my guns are pointed squarely at the right. 90 to 95% of my videos are going after the fucking fascists for being fucking fascists. And the only 5 or 10% where I deviate from that is to make very clear that there's somebody who's supposed to be on our side who's just objectively hurting our side. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So, but 90-95% of the time, I'm fucking spitting fire in the right direction. And that's
also, shout out to OKLOL for asking this super chat question of Kyle. Good to see you in our chat as well.
Oh yeah, shout out to you, bro.
just not the sense I get from him at all. In fact, I saw him with that fucking title or thumbnail that was implying that I was just saying some both side shit. I was low-key, I was furious. And I don't really get furious like that, but I was furious because I was like, I've tried so hard to make this point so fucking clear, and to just have somebody strawman me like that, I was like, fuck this. No way. So anyway, I'm really not interested in that. He can have fun with this clip if he'd like to have fun with it. But I'll be
sorry, Kyle, you're welcome. It's actually going to be us having fun with it, and I don't think Hutch is going to like what he sees.
Yeah, that's pretty brutal. And, you know, I think it does tell you a lot about Kyle that he actually does take something like that personally. He actually really does mean what he says. You know, so many people, they just kind of say shit, you know, whatever their audience wants to hear, or like, you know, whatever. And it doesn't really matter. Like, Kyle actually does mean what he says. He thinks about it. He says it with conviction. Even when I disagree with Kyle, I know that I'm actually, disagreeing with something that he's thought about and believes on principle. And you can tell, like, and I feel the same way. If I saw someone that we'd had on our show, because again, Hutch has been on KKF, Kyle and Crystal gave him that platform to come on and make a stupid bullshit argument about how Liz Cheney was awesome and how Kamala should, campaign with her.
Age like milk.
Yeah, age like fucking milk, bro. It's completely crazy. And of course, it's not like Hutch ever came out and acknowledged how shitty his argument was and how on point Kyle's was. But yeah, for Kyle to have given him that platform to come make his stupid dog shit argument and poison the brain of all of his followers, and then to hear him just lying and misrepresenting Kyle's argument. Kyle, someone who's only been nice to him, someone who's only been, amenable to his arguments and platformed his arguments, to then just tune in to hear something out of context being strawmanned by this stupid dimwit. I would be pissed off too, bro. It's a fucking betrayal.
Yeah, 100%. That's a great thing to bring up because it does show how earnest Kyle is, right? He does actually care when you offer criticism. And we're actually in a unique position, right? We don't get to brag about this enough, but like we've had a fair number of interactions with Kyle, right? Like Kyle is one of the dudes that I've always really admired and trusted. Obviously, he was a huge inspiration for our show, but he's a guy that we've gotten to know over the last 5 years of doing this show. And we've debated the fuck out of Kyle. I've made videos where I'm like, Kyle, I completely disagree with you. But Kyle's a reasonable guy. If you offer legitimate criticism, like we did a video, like, I don't know, maybe like 4 or 5 months ago where Kyle was talking about re-education camps. And I was like, whoa, Kyle, like, I don't know if it's like the best idea to be talking about re-education camps because we're going to scare normal people away. It wasn't like he, got all pissed off or frustrated. Like, it's not like a guy who can't handle pushback or a dude that is bothered by criticism. One time we had a great debate with Kyle where he was like, well, Gavin and I were both kind of interested in the third party. And he was like, guys, love the idea and spirit, but it's a dog shit fucking plan. And you are going to be humiliated and disappointed if you get involved. It turned out to be pretty correct, right? Hit the nail on the head with that one. We were like, you know what, Kyle, you called that like a fucking, a perfect shot. So he's not the kind of dude that like gets all pissed off and his feathers ruffled whenever you have a disagreement. So, which is why I was surprised. Like he was pissed off by whatever Hutch said in that coverage.
Yeah, which is 100% justified. Because again, Hutch is a totally dishonest hack. His whole point is to punch left. He's been boosting all these stupid smears against Hassan Piker relentlessly. He's promoted a bunch of pro-Israel talking points and propaganda consistently. He's championed some of the worst Democrats. He's done apologia for Joe Manchin and John Fetterman recently, not like a year or 3 years ago, like literally like 2 fucking weeks ago.
Bro, he supports genocide.
Yeah, it's crazy. And I mean, there's a reason why, again, Hutch is someone who identifies as liberal, who's someone I feel like our audience would probably consider kind of a mainstream liberal. No offense, Hutch, Josiah. No offense, Josiah, if you're watching this, but Josiah sounds like he's 10 times to the left of Hutch when they're having a debate on Live and Learn, which again, Josiah just exited. But again, he would sound like a radical. Him and Pisco, who again are both like self-identifying like liberal, pro-capitalist, like they go out of their way to say I'm not a socialist, but they sound like fucking radicals because they're actually willing to give credit to progressives and identify right-wing Democrats for what they are, whereas Hutch just wants to celebrate and defend them. So yeah, he's a total mess, and it's so glorious to see Kyle speaking the truth on this.
Yep. So shout out to
it?
Oh yeah, that was the end of
Gotcha.
the road. End of the Hutch discourse, that is. But yeah.
Look out the door if you hear an ambulance. The Vanguard will be there, sir. The Vanguard will be there, sir. The Vanguard will be there, sir. The Vanguard will be there. Be there. The